Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Mooneyham. I'm the Director of Student Teaching at Commerce University, and I welcome you to a series of videos that I hope will provide good information for you going into specifically student teaching, but also this information could be relevant for clinical experiences as well. And it doesn't hurt to get a head start getting these pieces of information in your mind so that when the time comes for student teaching, if that's not now, that it will be second nature to you. So I want to begin with sharing information about the professional tests that you will need to complete and earn a qualifying score on in order to be recommended for licensure in South Carolina. I advise you to talk with your program director who will offer you the most accurate, specific information about the tests that you need to take because my specialty is English and social studies. And so I might advise you incorrectly on different special education praxis tests. So please check with your program directors for the most accurate information. I, however, can provide you with a little background on what these tests are for and what they include and ways to prepare and when you might ideally take these tests and what you need to do in advance of taking these tests. And that is what I am going to do right now. I am going to share my screen and walk you through some key pieces of information about the Praxis 2 and PLT. PLT, Principles of Learning and Teaching, and Praxis 2. Praxis 2 is your content area knowledge tests, and some of you might take one of these. If you are in elementary ed, you will take several of these. So, again, be aware of which tests you need and how many of them are required for your certification area. I am going to share my screen and hopefully do this with some success. Let's see. Okay, here we go. No. All right. I think that we are we are in business. Excellent. So the Praxis 2 and Principles of Learning and Teaching exams. That is what we are here to talk about today. So, what is the Praxis 2? It is the subject area exam that teacher candidates take based on the grade level and content area of their certification. Registering for the Praxis 2 and PLT. Each test taker seeking certification in South Carolina must provide ETS with their Social Security number when registering in order for test scores to be reported to the South Carolina Department of Education. ETS then transmits Praxis scores to the South Carolina Department of Education electronically, and score reports are matched to individual records in South Carolina's electronic certification system based on a complete, accurate Social Security number. In other words, if you happen to type the wrong number, get even one digit incorrect, then that is going to throw off the ETS attempt to report your scores. And so that will create a holdup and all kinds of headache that you just don't want to be a part of. So get that information correctly recorded first, double check it, and save yourself a headache down the road. Each test taker seeking certification in South Carolina must provide ETS with a score report recipient. Designate the South Carolina Department of Education or whatever state you are seeking certification in as an official score report recipient so that ETS will transmit an official score report. Converse should also be designated as an official score report recipient. And if that does not happen, then I will not be able to even see that you've taken a test. So that is another little headache that you can avoid by just listing us as a score report recipient. Unfortunately, I can't take anything other than an official report. So if you were to take it, earn a qualifying score, and send me an email saying, hey, I earned this score, I am still going to need an official score report. And I believe if you do that after the fact, like if you, after you realize, oh no, I forgot to add Converse as a recipient, I think that they charge test takers for then adding a score report recipient. Now, the PLT exam, the Principles of Learning and Teaching, measures a test taker's knowledge of pedagogy. And topics on the exam include, but are not limited to, the ones that you see on the screen here. Um, Hopefully, these are topics that you have been actively discussing and studying since your intro to education class, and your knowledge has just been building in every subsequent class and any clinical placement that you had. This is an exam that everyone will take, although depending on your certification area and level, the test number will be different. But the PLT, the content remains the same. It's just modified depending on your area of focus, say elementary versus secondary education. And there is additional information about the Praxis 2 and PLT. So, what I would like to include, additional to this slideshow, are two things. One, there is what I think to be a really incredible resource, a YouTube channel created by an educator named Kathleen Jasper. And I'm going to include on our Canvas page and on the student teaching website a link to her channel. She is credible, she's relevant, and there is a repository of videos on topics ranging from how to prepare for these professional exams, how to prepare for teaching interviews, how to build a great classroom management plan and strategies, writing effective lesson plans. So there is so much on this channel that I think would be beneficial. I learned a lot in areas that were outside of my own personal experience. So I felt that it was time well spent to explore her offerings. So again, Kathleen Jasper is her name, and she has a YouTube channel that is current and extensive. Secondly, I wanted to address the question that very often people have about when they should take the Praxis 2 and PLT. Some people have the idea that it is a requirement to take these tests in order to graduate, and that is not the case. Your taking of these exams is not in any way tied to completing program requirements in order to graduate. What it is tied to, however, is your ability to be recommended for licensure. So you can graduate, you can have your degree in secondary education or multi-categorical special education and still not be licensed in the state of South Carolina, or any state for that matter, to teach. That requires, in addition to successfully completing all of the components of your educator preparation program, the taking of these professional exams and scoring a qualifying score. And then, with that information at my fingertips, because we are listed as a score recipient, remember, then I can go to the South Carolina Department of Education website and recommend you for licensure. So, you need to have these tests taken and successfully taken, I should say, in order to start a teaching position. Now, one exception is this. There are school districts who, if they have some kind of verification that you have taken the tests and you are just awaiting score reports, they will offer you a provisional contract. And I know that with everything else being new and uncertain during your first year of teaching, if it were me, I would want to minimize the uncertainties as much as possible. And so I would want to go ahead and have those tests in my rearview mirror. Don't have to think about them. That is checked off. And so the sweet spot for taking these tests, I think, is either just before you begin student teaching, if you feel like student teaching is just going to be a lot to manage, which it is a lot, or you can schedule to take it during your student teaching experience. Some people choose to do it immediately after and just anticipate that they are going to earn the qualifying scores the first time out, which mostly everyone does. But speaking from personal experience, I didn't. And so I had to take one of the tests again to get the couple of points that I needed. And that's fine, but you don't want to push it too far to the end so that it might prevent you from starting a teaching contract in August or whenever it is you are going to be beginning a teaching contract. The reason I suggest not taking the Praxis 2 and PLT any earlier than the beginning of student teaching or during student teaching is you want as much information as possible. So if you were to take any of these tests, or the PLT, for example, during your first education course, there would be items on the test that you hadn't really had time to consider or learn about. So take it right when the information is at its most fresh in your mind. The longer you wait after you finish your degree at Converse, the hazier those details are going to get. So that is my recommendation. It is by no means a requirement. And I hope that if you have any questions about any aspect of these professional exams, to let me know. And I will say this too, that uh, going into teaching, preparing for a teaching career, it's pricey at the outset when we have maybe the least amount of money as we are college students trying to get a job. These tests the cost can add up, especially if you're taking multiple ones. And so I don't want anyone to feel like the cost of taking these exams is prohibitive in any way. And so if you find that having some support or resources to help with that would benefit you, let me know because there are resources available that can help you and make life just a little less stressful in the meantime. So that's that. I'm going to also provide the slideshow along with this video in case you just needed to get a couple of the address links that I shared. I think I'm going to go ahead and add the Kathleen Jasper YouTube channel link before I share the slideshow, so that information will already be embedded for you. I look forward to working with you very soon. I know that this is going to be an incredibly successful experience for you, and we are all here standing by to help in any way, regardless of if we are in your particular certification or program area. Everyone in the education department is standing by to offer you as much support as you need to successfully get through your clinical and student teaching experiences.